our attention is drawn to various media reports of the mushrooming real estate stakeholder associations seeking to regulate the sector. The Institution of Surveyors of Kenya appreciates the freedom of association is enshrined as a right and a fundamental freedom in our Kenya 2010 Constitution. However, every right has limitation. This unbridled exercise of the right, as postulated by the promoters of this initiative, we are afraid will compromise the right to property and professional regulation. Evidently, these very entities that are promoting these initiatives have been noted to have fleeced Kenyans in the past, and most likely will join these associations that are being promoted. We see these as attempts to hoodwink Kenyans, that the entities that have been accused of malpractice in the sector are able to tackle fraud, and that very attempt is misleading, and they are attempting to sanitize those past activities. The claims of the power to regulate are not founded in any law, and as such will lack the legal basis for enforcement. We have also noted with concern that most of these promoters have no formal training in real estate or in matters fraud, that they are able to discern fraud in the sector, and thus would mislead Kenyans to that extent. Second to that, we wish to mention about the regulation of the real estate sector. The Estate Agents Act, Cap 533, provides for the registration of persons by way of business, negotiate, and otherwise act in selling, purchasing, letting of land and buildings on behalf of the owners. This act establishes the Estate Agents Registration Board, which regulates estate agency in this country. The board registers and issues annual licenses to the estate agents. At the same time, it handles complaints regarding registered estate agents from the public and clients. We note that the board has been at the forefront in the past 5 years or so in fighting the proliferation of unregistered estate agents in this country. The bulk of the professionals of ISK are in real estate sector, and estate agents are among those professionals. We are thus baffled to witness associations claiming they can represent stakeholders to the exclusion of trained, registered, and licensed professionals. This is despite that the country has invested in training institutions who are offering training in real estate. We now have more than 5 universities offering degree programs in real estate. ISK has further established that the said stakeholders associations are fronted by land buying companies. These companies have been seen to purchase land or approach owners with huge parcels of land and subdivide and sell in small portions to the general public. And that is where we are having a very big challenge, where we are having a lot of unregulated subdivisions of land for sale. This has created a situation where the public are defrauded in these practices, and more so those in the diaspora who have no capacity or ability to view the parcel that are being sold to. There are numerous reports that have been filed with the Land Fraud Unit and the DCI, and we urge the DCI to expedite and bring these individuals to court. These land buying companies, as I mentioned earlier, are run by people with little or no training in real estate. Their main drive is for profit and oftentimes disregard ethical business practices. We note that they manipulate the market and sometimes give misleading information as a marketing strategy, only that after you have purchased is when you get to know the real truth about the land. In many instances, they buy agricultural land in far-flung areas without any services, any amenities, that you have no potential to develop and enjoy living there, ostensibly that the purchaser would speculate on the purchase and an increase in price is expected. It is very difficult to have a meaningful increase in price if you have a lot of parcels of land subdivided without services being offered to those parcels. So people hold on to parcels they cannot develop, hoping that prices would go up, and they never go up because there are no auxiliary services provided. The third issue tied to these land buying companies is the sale of land by the owner. The Estate Agents Act exempts the property owner from registering when they are selling their land. But the Act, when it was enacted, was intended to facilitate disposal by an owner, not in trading, but for his own sale of, if he has a small parcel of land, 1 acre, not this mass buying of land and disposal to the public. Towards this end, we would propose an amendment through the CS to have land buying companies be regulated. If I now go to our recommendations with the foregoing, the Institution of Surveyors demands that the registrar of companies registers real estate associations run by non-professionals. Further, the registrar should bar any further registration of real estate associations unless the applicants have the requisite professional qualification. The Attorney General to wind up land buying companies that have been involved in fraud in the past, and cases on the directors of those companies to be expedited to restore confidence in the sector. The Cabinet Secretary in charge of lands should propose legislation to provide for registration and regulation of land buying companies to protect public interest. Further, the proposed legislation should provide guidelines and stop the wanton subdivision of agricultural land that have no viability for residential use due to lack of enabling infrastructure and amenities. The public and Kenyans in general should only deal with registered estate agents when dealing with land. Information about who is a registered estate agent can easily be found in the Estate Agents Registration Board website or through the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya. The media should also stop promoting these activities of entities that are meant to mislead the public. So we urge you, if you find that a non-professional is out there speaking that they can regulate another person and they have no capacity, that person does not deserve airtime. The county governments should strictly enforce the land use regulations, especially on agricultural land that are being subdivided to small portions and economic portions. These subdivisions are affecting food security and generally the cost of living. If people are not able to farm, because we have subdivided our parcels into very small parcels in high potential areas, we will continue having a challenge. So we hope the county governments will stop those wanton subdivisions of agricultural land. Tied to that, as a support to the county governments, the National Assembly and the Senate should legislate on the minimum land holding, especially in agricultural rich areas. This is provided in our constitution about the minimum and maximum, but I think it's time that we seriously legislate to provide guidance to anybody investing in land. I think that is our statement on the issue of regulation in the sector and the mushrooming of individuals who purport that they can regulate the sector.